YouTube star Jake Paul and the former UFC superstar Nate Diaz have been at each other's throats for quite a long time now. For context, this beef started sometime in 2021, following Diaz's tweet attacking Jake Paul after his victory against Ben Askren. In this tweet, Diaz called out Jake Paul, telling him he needed a free ass beating, also adding that the superstar could barely fight, and all he had to say would get him a free ass whooping. Well, it's been 2 long years since all of this, and finally, we get to see these two men go head-to-head against each other in a ring. Come the 5th of August, 2023, the problem child, Jake Paul, will be fighting against his longtime rival, Nate Diaz. As we remain expectant to how this fight will go, we will take a shot at predicting the outcome of this matchup. So, be sure to stick around till the end of the video. That said, before we take this fight into the ring, let's look closely at our contenders' backgrounds. First up is the YouTube star Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul was born on the 17th of January 1997 in Cleveland, Ohio. Grew up in Westlake, Ohio with his parents Pamela Ann Stepnick and Gregory Allen Paul, and his brother Logan Paul. In the fall of 2018, he began his amateur boxing career and fought against Deji Olatunji, KSI's younger brother. The 5th round of this fight ended with a technical knockout from Jake Paul, defeating Olatunji. Things got even more serious in 2019 as Paul began his professional career. His debut match was against fellow YouTuber Ann Gibb, popularly called Gibb, and Jake won by technical knockout. Ever since, Paul has fought against former UFC fighter Ben Askren and professional basketballer Nate Robinson. He has also challenged UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley twice, and then mixed martial artist and boxer Anderson Silva. And most recently in February, Jake Paul recorded his very first loss in his fight against Tommy Fury, tainting his perfect 6 wins in 6 matches record. Nate Diaz. Nathan Donald Diaz, nicknamed the Stockton Slugger, was born to Melissa and Robert Diaz on April 16, 1985. Nate spent most of his life in Stockton, California, alongside his brother and sister Nick and Nina. And in 1996, by age 11, Nate and Nick began training in martial arts. Fast forward to 2002, at 17, Nate was said to have competed in a bare-knuckle MMA fight against Robert Lyman. This was about 2 years before he decided to begin his official MMA career and make a debut in 2004. Following his debut match, Nate went on to compete majorly in World Extreme Cage Fighting, or better called WEC. WEC 24 was the last WEC event before Zuffa LLC acquired it. And it was in this event that Nate fought against then-champion Hermé Franca for the WEC Lightweight Championship. Unfortunately, Nate lost by submission in the 2nd round. Later in 2007, Nate contested on the Ultimate Fighter 5, an MMA event organized by UFC exclusive to lightweights. While on Jens Pulver's team, Nate recorded many victories against men like Rob Emerson, Corey Hill, Gray Maynard, and Manuel Gamburan, eventually winning the Ultimate Fighter 5. Nate Diaz continued to build his UFC career alongside training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in 2012, after so long of training, he finally got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from Cesar Gracie. 2013 to 2014 weren't some of the best years for Diaz. However, after a self-imposed recess, by December 2014, he returned to the UFC. This return wasn't quite eventful, as he was fined and eventually lost his fight against Rafael dos Anjos. However, a better comeback was made exactly a year later, in December 2015, with his fight against Michael Johnson, which was won via unanimous decision. By 2016, Diaz was laid off, and although he was expected to return in November 2018, this return only happened in August 2019. Diaz fought against Anthony Pettis in a welterweight match and won by unanimous decision. After losing his match in UFC 263 to Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz fought the final fight of his UFC contract against Tony Ferguson. And as a perfect way to end his UFC career, Nate won the fight by a guillotine choke submission, earning his second Performance of the Night bonus award as well. After refusing to renew his contract with UFC, the American professional MMA fighter became a free agent. But of course, throughout this time, he built quite an impressive record of 35 fights, 22 wins, and 13 losses. Now that we've met both fighters, let's take this fight to the ring. As usual, we'll decide based on the categories fighting pedigree, physique, skill, and improvisation. For each of these, we'll be awarding 10 points, and as usual, the fighter with the highest number of points will be declared the winner. Fighting pedigree. For this round, we have the veteran fighter Nate Diaz, who has been involved in 35 professional fights, with 18 years of experience in the making, not forgetting the fact that he started taking martial arts training before his teen years. Even more, he continues to train today with his brother Nick. Now, we already know who wins this round by looking at Nate's record and comparing it to that of Jake Paul, who has had less than half of Nate's wealth of experience. So, Nate gets 10 points and Jake gets 4 points. Physique. Based on their physique, it is quite clear from their several fights that the Diaz brothers are very tough. Nate Diaz is known for his insanely strong shins and also for how quickly he recovers from multiple hits. However, based on their height and weight, Nate stands at 6 feet and weighs 170 pounds. On the other hand, we have Jake Paul standing at 6 foot 1 inch while weighing about 190 pounds. And so, it is clear that Jake has the upper hand in this round. So, Jake gets 7 points while Nate gets 6 points. Skills. Without mincing words, it is safe to say that based on records, Nate Diaz has one of the most conditioned in the UFC. But it is good to know that the Diaz brothers have been in this competitive field for the longest. Therefore, an attempt by Jake to use his physique as an avenue to bully would only push Nate to want to fight back even more. And we must not forget Nate's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, which also gives him an upper hand in this aspect. And so for this round, Nate gets 9 points, while Jake gets 6 points. Improvisation. Unlike many other people, Nate can use his anger to his advantage. But that aside, Nate can be considered a master submission fighter, and many can attest to that. You never can tell what submission he can pull out of his arsenal, and surviving it may not be possible. On the other hand, Jake Paul sure doesn't have enough or much to boast of. So in this round, Nate gets 9 points, while Jake gets 5 points. Verdict. With all these categories considered, the winner of this match would be Nate Diaz with 34 points, while Jake Paul has 22 points. While we can't boast that this is for sure how this match will end, we do have some confidence that come the 5th of August, Nate Diaz will be giving Jake Paul a hard time during the fight. But that's just what we think. Do you agree with this verdict? Or do you believe this would end differently? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video and would love more content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification so you are the first to know when we drop a new video. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.